And I look around the room, I'm like, all of our making change as a leader or an entrepreneur. Let's talk about something that's real. Let's get somebody on stage that's talking about something real and their real journeys and empowering these people to realize they can do something that impacts their own life and that of their family. So I would say that's a big one. Happy to share a couple others, but I don't know if there's other questions you might want to talk through.
Well, when do people feel like they're truly successful in business? It sounds like it's rarely money. So, what if you had a lineup of speakers and you're like, all right, you're allowed to talk about one thing that makes you feel like you're successful, but it cannot be the money you make. It's got to be something else. Like, what would the speakers say in your experience?
What I would say is I have a new book called Iceberg Selling. And the whole idea of that book, it starts out with, hey, salespeople, people that are selling, you're great. You make a difference in the world, right? If you're selling, you are helping generate revenue for companies. You're helping companies grow. You're making payroll. And if, you're successful, maybe you are helping pay for your kids' college, or you're taking care of your parents, or, you're putting, if you celebrate Christmas, you're putting, Christmas presents under the Christmas tree type thing, right? Like you're making a difference because you can have kind of this expandable bandwidth. But the other part of that book, as soon as we kind of talk through, hey, being in sales is really great. It's what are you playing for? And I really would like that to sink into anybody listening. Like, what are you playing for? And it might be money, and I'm not saying that's wrong, but my guess is you were playing for something else. You were playing for independence, to impact the world. If you're in medicine, maybe it's to cure a disease. If you're in a product that might be like green energy or something like that, you're in it to change the world, to educate people, to make a difference. So, I think it's really important to get clear not only on your mission, like why did you do this? Not only your mission for your company, but this is what I think entrepreneurs often miss is what is your own why? Why did you do it for yourself? A lot of entrepreneurs, we always taking care of everyone else. And I think a lot of times we don't realize, hey, what feeds me? And so for me, I would want to see somebody on stage that says, hey, I started this business because I wanted to change the world or change this thing or conquer this thing. And, for me, my personal win was blank. And so every day as I grew this business, I played for that. I actually had a really great experience a couple of days ago at a conference where somebody that ran a nonprofit came in and kind of talked about how they grew that nonprofit and the outcome and the jobs they created for different types of the population, people with handicaps. And it was super powerful because that's what he was playing for. And that's what he was playing for himself as well. So I think it's so personal, but at the end of the day, you got to figure out what your own mission is. Why are you there? What are you playing for?
So what do you see as in your current consultancy? What are some of the, the things you have to do over and over and over again with people in the beginning? Let's say the first month you work with them.
Yeah. So the one I think I see so often, and since I'm mainly in the sales marketing arena, I'm a sales and marketing consultant. I come in and build sales organizations. And so does my team. And we run workshops and things like that, is I think there's this myth out there that there's this shortcut to revenue. I'm going to do this one thing and it's all going to work out. So the first thing I like to kind of talk through is, wait a minute, you got to put in the work. You got to do the frameworks. You got to do the foundations. That's what my book Set Up to Win's about. It's like, hey, how do you start to build the frameworks and foundations so that you can crawl, walk, run, or run faster or walk faster, whatever it is for you as a business owner. But oftentimes I come in and there's just a lot of lack of foundations. It could be as simple as, do you have a clear accountability chart? Like, who's supposed to do what? Is it clear? Has it been communicated? Has it been agreed to? And when it comes to, selling, a lot of times I like to go in and ask a company kind of, hey, if I talk to 10 people randomly, how do we create value? Am I going to get the same answer? And if that leader scratches their head and like, I'm not sure, then those are usually hints that until we try to put our foot on that accelerator, we got to do some of the hard work, the intentional work. The other one that I would tell you is a lot of people, especially in sales, and when you talk to marketing and leaders that aren't doing sales, they think everybody that walks in the door is ready to buy. They think everybody's at that bottom of the funnel. Like, oh, are you ready to buy? What's your budget? How soon? And I got to tell you that my reality is more times than not, most of the people that are interested in working with you, they're much earlier in their decision. They want to learn more about you, how you can solve their problems. And it's a much slower dance than we want it to be, to move them to a place where they're like, yeah, you create value. This is what I want. I'm ready to go. So I'd say it's those two things.
Okay. One quick question. In terms of comparing yourself to other businesses, like, I guess I have problems. I would look at other businesses in my industry and be like, wow, they look so much more successful than me. What am I doing wrong? What's wrong with me? But then a friend told me, he's like, look, you can't see inside their businesses. You don't know their bottom line. You don't know their profit margin. You don't know that they're like 5 minutes away from bankruptcy. which helps, but still I have that tendency to when I compare. I don't know if that's a phenomenon with your client, but if so, how do you manage that?
Yeah, I don't see it necessarily all the time. Usually they are pretty clear on the game they're winning, the game they want to play and the game they want to win. But I do think there's always kind of this, well, I saw this thing, I listened to this podcast, I read this guy in my peer group, my neighbor, whatever. And, I would just say all businesses are very, very different. Margins are different. How we sell is different. There's core kind of components, but just if you look at top line, like, imagine we sold cars, right? It could be pretty easy to do $1 million in revenue if we sold cars. But if we sold, $10 boxes of cookies or something like that, it's going to take a long time to get to $1 million. So I think, some of it is just helping people check themselves and realize that. And when I do run into it, it's usually a heart-to-heart of back to kind of what I said before. Like, why are we comparing ourselves? I mean, if we're comparing ourselves apples to apples, and we know there's like some key baselines or, best practices, that's one thing. But to just kind of compare one business to another, I just don't think it's even close to apples to apples.